I've been asked to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next speaker, Kimanga, Director of Global Tea and Commodities Limited. And he will tell us about the uniqueness of Kenyan tea, something that we'd all like to know about. Taaliyan ho jaye? Can we have a... Thank you.
Thank you. If my friend Hanif Jan felt uneasy here, I think I'm 3 times more uneasy, having to stand in front of my main supplier of tea and our biggest client, my friend and teacher after Pal, and the gentleman who signs my check at the end of the month. So I have to be very careful what I say, because I still have a child in school and need the school fees. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot has been said about KTDA, which was part of my slide. So I'll take a moment to speak about my life in tea and how I made to the tea industry accidentally. Today marks 45 years since I set my foot in a factory. Yes, 45 years, that's the uniqueness of Kenya tea. When my brother was working in one of the tea factories in Kenya called the Kombe Tea Factory. And I used to like going there in July because it used to be extremely cold. What you'd call for hot thunder. So the senior management in KTDA normally have houses with warm water. They have heated water, unlike the other workers. So my brother being a young man, every evening we would have young ladies coming to cook for us so that they enjoy a hot shower in return. And when, in my tender age, I said, this is the industry to work in. But several years later, I joined tea after 7 years. And 7 years, I did 5 years, and I thought it was not as interesting as I saw in Nikombi, because I started in Mombasa where hot water doesn't matter to anyone. So after 5 years, I decided enough was enough for tea, and I had to get into some other industry. But there is this one city which kept on ticking in Mombasa, the pendulum of the Mombasa tea auction. And I said, before I leave the industry, I have to visit this city. So then I approached one of our clients, Zainuddin Khan, who probably is here today. And I said, I have saved some little money. Can you invite me to Pakistan? Because I want to see the Jodia Bazaar. So I came under his invitation. He sponsored my trip. Thank you very much, Zain, if you are here. And I stayed in the bazaar for 10 days. I was leaving every morning Zain's office to go to the Jodia Bazaar, the most friendly city I've ever visited. The best cup of tea I've had in the bazaar. And my energy and my interest in tea was reignited. And I said, I'm not leaving the industry. So when I went back to Kenya, I said, I've thought otherwise, I will continue. Then I worked for a while in Mombasa, moved up to Sasini Tea and Coffee, then was Warren Plantations. The gentlemen are here, CEO, and wherever you are, you can wave. I worked there for a while before moving back to Mombasa with Global Tea and Commodities. Thank you very much for hosting us here. Thank you, Javed. Thank you, Hanif. Thank you, our teacher. Thank you, the chief guest. Because had it not been that decision I made in the Jodia Bazaar, I wouldn't have been here today. Thank you very much. So I'll take a brief moment to tell you about what makes Kenya tea tick. What is so unique about this Kenya tea? As a country, in spite of being the largest tea exporter, we are the youngest in growing tea in the list of who matters in tea growing. Kenya started growing tea only in 1927. We have not celebrated 100 years yet. Giants like Indonesia started 400 years before us, in 1600. Bangladesh started around 1840. Even our neighbor Sri Lanka, no, our neighbor Malawi started around 1800. So we are very young. And all the mistakes that could have been made in tea growing or tea manufacturing were made by other people. So we had no reason not to make good tea. Then we had a very good foundation for our tea. Our structures had been set by the white farmers who had started growing tea and coffee, which were cash crops, heavily protected by the government. So the standards had been set, and locals were not allowed to grow both tea or coffee. In fact, the largest coffee farmer was jailed for having been found with 25 seedlings hidden under his bed because he wanted to know what is special about this crop. Kenyan farmers are that adaptive. Anything that can grow, they'll grow. Even if it is illegal, the government has to really stop because our farmers are very adaptive. So the first seedlings were introduced in 1903 on a trial basis. Then commercial growing started only in 1924. And our African farmers were around in 1956. So standards had been set by the farmers, large-scale farmers who had started growing tea at that time. And up to now, they still maintain those traditions. It's not uncommon to go to Kericho, which is very cold, and find young managers still wearing short pants and socks, together with pens stuck on their socks, because the standards had been set on those times. Then, of course, up to 1999, that's when KTD was privatized. Another big advantage we have as a country is the environmental aspects. We have rich, reddish volcanic soils. Tea, like probably most of you are aware, is a mining product. The minerals in the soil dictate what kind of quality you are likely to get. We have very rich, acidic, and volcanic soils. A lot of the bazaar people, if you come here, you hear teas are from the east of Rift or west of the Rift, fondly now called east and west. There's a big depression which cuts the country into half, east and west. So, like my chairman had said, over 60% is grown by small-scale farmers, which again demonstrate the kind of husbandry we have. Because these small farmers have other products. They also have other animals they keep, like cows, and they use much of the manure to put in their farms. We have a benefit of high altitudes. Like I said, during my brother's time, tea factories are very, very cold. So much so that even pest activity is minimal because of the altitude. So we never get problems of pests. That means there is no need to use like pesticides because we have less and less pests which affect the crops like many other countries. Then we have a very good well-spread rainfall pattern. March, April, May, then October, November, December. Very well spread, enough rainfall, which makes the bushes canopy to suppress any undergrowth. Weeds, like any weeds cannot grow because we have a very well structured canopy because of the well spread rainfall patterns. And like our chairman said, we are on the equator, so we never get extreme weather conditions. The milestones, I'll skip this because it was discussed for purpose of time. That's one of the scenic small-scale farming areas in Kenya. That's a larger scale in Kericho. Looks almost like a golf course. That's how tea in Kenya canopies because of the good rainfall. Then we have the agronomical advantages. Majority of the tea plucked in Kenya is by hand, which ensures very clean material being plucked. There's less injury to the tea bush. That's why we're managing to get a lot of tea. The more you injure a tea bush, the more likely it is not to give you enough leaf. So majority of our tea is done by hand plucking. Then weeds, the few weeds we get are done by cultural method, that is uprooting and not spraying. Then of course there is regular field service, extension services and training. Transportation again of the tea to the factories is by special trucks to ensure there is no injury to the tea bush, to the tea leaves. These are training programs, which we must have seen much earlier. These are the special trucks that carry our tea to ensure the teas don't compress each other because the fermentation will definitely start. That's a demonstration of factory, one of the biggest factories. These are the processes that happen with our black teas, from withering, CTC, then fermentation, drying. I'm sure most of you are aware about these processes. And this is the process from the farmer. I think most of you have seen that one in the earlier slide. This is the storage. These are the storage facilities. Again, very nicely done to ensure that there's no collapsing of the tea packs. Then key is the support services, government support services, and this credit goes to the Kenya government because of the strict regulatory framework we have. We have the Tea Board of Kenya, for instance, which does the promotion and regulation. We have the Tea Research Foundation. This is meaning for research and development, trying to introduce new clones that are able to withstand weather varieties like drought. We have the Kenya Bureau of Standards. Every tea factory must undergo inspection by Kenya Bureau of Standards. Then we have KEFIS. KEFIS is one body that ensures any foreign material coming to the country for planting has to be inspected and checked to make sure that it is not released to the farmers without knowing what it is for or what it is supposed to contribute. Then, of course, our road infrastructure. We have, I think, one of the best infrastructural roads in Africa. So getting tea from the factories to the auction is easy because of the improved infrastructure. And of course, we have the modern seaport. That's a question I was posing to every one of us because it follows us a discussion which was here. Why do we take tea? Is it a social drink? Is it a refreshing drink? Or is it a dietary component? In Kenya, and I think like many places here in Pakistan, tea is taken more like a dietary component. It's part of food. It's the stew. And in the upper market, it's more of a social drink or a connecting drink. But over the last few years, the younger people are getting to ask questions. Why do we take tea? Is it because it's a health product and people are more conscious about anything they are putting in their mouth, be it a beverage, be it a food product? So we try to explain that the health aspect of tea is because of the antioxidants. We take tea because of the rich antioxidants it has. And if you look at the amount of antioxidants in Kenya tea vis-a-vis other countries, Kenya teas have much higher antioxidants than a lot of other teas in our region. And what do the antioxidants do? Antioxidants they are compounds that inhibit oxidation. Oxidation is a chemical reaction that can produce free radicals, thereby leading to a chain of reactions that may damage cells and organisms, resulting in degenerative diseases like cancer, heart diseases, and aging. Then plants and animals scavenge for free radicals. That's more scientific. The bottom line is people are discovering we need to take tea for the health aspect, not as a diet, not as food, but because of the benefit it gives you as far as antioxidants is concerned. In Kenya, we have released 2 new varieties. There is this new variety called purple tea, which our farmers have started producing. It has a much, much higher antioxidant content than green tea. And green tea has a higher antioxidant content than black tea. So it is one of the new varieties that we encourage people to try to move to because of the higher antioxidant content. A study which was done by Tea Research Foundation found that there was compelling evidence that the anthocyanins, these are compounds in the purple tea, are able to cross the brain-blood barrier. Purple tea can be used as a dietary supplement to modulate conditions associated with oxidation stress in the brain, such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. But additionally, secondary ingredients, especially milk, the study found that adding milk to tea sometimes reduces the antioxidant qualities of tea. And alternatives such as stevia should be considered rather than sugar. These are some of the specialty teas Kenya produces. We have white tea there at the beginning. We have orthodox tea. We have the purple tea, the third one. Then this is yellow tea. Black tea, orthodox at the far end. Poor tea, and black CTC. At the moment, we are producing over 90% of CTC, but new factories have come up which are giving us more varieties to diversify our markets because of the higher antioxidant qualities. These, again, have been released recently by the Tea Research Institute. The Tea Research Institute keeps on improving the varieties because of the climate conditions. These ones some of them are drought resistant, some of them will give a higher yield, some of them will give a higher flavor or higher quality. This is our pot. Some of you must have come there, must have seen it. It's an ultra-modern seaport, which is connected now to the city where the auction is, and of course, all the way down from the tea factories. It is very easy to ship